Hey guys, the time has come that we've now finished and wrapped up our Marvel Legends series reviews, and through the process of doing that, we've built ourselves this guy right here. So in this video, we're going to be having a look at the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure in Avengers Infinity War, Thanos. To figure out how tall Thanos is, let's go ahead and grab a tape measure. Putting it next to the figure, I can tell you safely and confidently that this figure stands at 8 inches in height. To show you how he stacks up, we'll move him over slightly and have a look at actually the last figure we looked at, and that was movie Captain America. So you can see how much bigger Thanos towers over other Marvel Legends figures, which is perfect. I don't think he could have been changed any bit different in height. I think he's really the suited height for displaying him with the other movie figures. So, well done. Well done. We'll move that to the side. Having a look at the figure itself, I have really been anxiously awaiting to put this guy together. Unfortunately, if you guys have read or heard my plights over the course of these reviews, you know that this guy, I couldn't find him in stores. Canada really sucks sometimes. No, let me explain that. Canada as a country is fantastic. I love Canada. But Canada from a retail standpoint, more importantly, getting Marvel Legends, next to impossible. I don't even think this wave has hit Canada yet. If it has, odd sprinklings here and there of some figures, while other figures, not so much. So ultimately, I had to pick this guy up online. Paid a little bit more for it, but it was well worth it for what we ended up getting here. I really absolutely love this figure. Let's have a look at his head sculpt here. Actually, we'll bring the camera up and zoom in a little bit. We've got to zoom after all. Head sculpt is really good. Something, oh dare say I, something gets lost unfortunately in his face, and I can't quite pinpoint what it is. The head sculpt is good. I thought it might have had something to do with the fact that he was smiling, but I know he smiles in the movie. So something seems off with the head sculpt. I thought maybe it might have been for the fact that his face is overly shiny. But no, I think I figured out what it is. It's his eyes. His eyes somehow defeat this figure when everything else really for the figure comes together nicely. I think everything works well, but I think the eyes let him down. And it's maybe the very bold outlining that they've done around the eyeball area. It's so bold. How bold is it? It's so bold that you almost forget the fact that he has eyeballs. I mean, from a distance, it actually looks like, it almost looks like he's got bloodshot eyes, which so pains me to say this because otherwise I think the figure looks really good, if not for that. I mean, that's not enough of a detractor for me to dismiss the figure and say that the figure is a total wash. That's not the case at all. But I think the eyeballs is the one little, slightly, it's about this big. It's this little tiny hair of an imperfection that takes a little bit away from the figure. Otherwise, everything else comes together, like I said, very well. The wrinkles, the very notable Thanos wrinkles around his chin are nicely done. It looks very much like he does in the movie. Also kind of looks like a guy that I know as well, which I've mentioned to him. He kind of looks like Thanos from the movie. I don't know if he saw that as a compliment or not, but I think he looks a little bit like him. He has the same sort of pattern work also coming down his arms. I think the shade of purple is accurate. I thought at one point maybe the purple in the movie, he's a lighter shade, slightly a little bit more of a pinkish purple. But I think the more I see it, I think the coloring is fairly accurate. Let's, of course, examine more closely one said Infinity Gauntlet, which sculpt-wise, it's pretty good. It could have maybe afforded some additional coloring so it wasn't just all cast in the gold plastic. But otherwise, I think the sculpting and all the little decos, all the little patterns and stuff all over it is really nicely done. You got the Infinity Stones placed in all the necessary places. It's a closed fist, which I'm perfectly fine for. I wouldn't want this guy to be able to grab onto things other than maybe Captain America. The armor is very exquisitely and cleanly, might I add, done. So you got the cross hatching of the more slightly darker, it's almost like a purpley almost like a slight purpley gray. You've got the cross hatching here, then you've got the exquisite gold here on the top, which is almost more like a silver gray than, or like a silverish gold. Got slightly darker areas here on the shoulders. There's the back of his torso. Not really a whole much happening here, but he does have the benefit of the additional skirt that runs down the side. This whole section right here, both the skirt and as we move it around to the front, it's not really even so much a skirt, it is part of his upper torso. Let me just clarify that. But this is a separate piece from everything, which I suppose is the necessary means that for at least this figure, what you had to end up doing. Of course, the legs attached here, thigh and into the two thigh areas. Slightly more of a darker brownish gray here. Same gold now onto his belt as it was on his knee areas that there was on the belt, and very, very broad Thanos boots. Would have wondered why they didn't put more texturing on the undersides of his boots, but why am I going to nitpick something that you're clearly not going to see when you are displaying the figure, unless periodically, from time to time, you just have to remind yourself what the texturing of boots look like, that you tip the figure up. Oh, right, yeah, he's got that. He does have peg holes on the undersides of his feet. To be honest, though, the figure doesn't have any problems standing whatsoever. He's got a nice big footing, nice flat footing as well, which also goes back to maybe texturing on the bottom undersides of his feet. Could have been more of a detriment to the figure than a positive. Yeah, he does come together very, very nicely indeed. Well done. Well done, Hasbro. Okay, so let's look at his posability. His head rotates all the way around via a ball joint. He's also got a hinge up and down. Arms hinge outward, as well as you can rotate the arms all the way around. Swivel at the bicep. Only a single hinge, which tends to be the case with the bigger Marvel Legends figures. Hands rotate. You have the hinge back and forth. Upper torso crunch. He has the waist swivel, so you can kind of see now why this is a separate piece here. Legs split out, forward and back. A double hinge on the knee. And finally, yes, finally, he's got the rocking, both the ankle rocker, as well as the hinge back and forth on the feet. And there, oh, I was so waiting for this figure. And there is one mighty Thanos. Boy, he looks good. Probably one of my new favorites of the Marvel Legends line. Okay, so like we normally do when it comes to the Marvel Legends wave, we kind of go through, and I mention my top 3 favorite figures from this line. And I have to admit, this was probably one of the hardest figures, or one of the hardest lines to go through. It was actually a lot easier, I think, to come up with my least favorites than it was my favorites. My least favorite, I would say, is Songbird, without a doubt. I don't really like Songbird. I just feel as if maybe there's not enough for her that makes her any bit of a standout. I just don't like her. I know I sound like negative saying that, but there's really not a whole heck of a lot happening with her. So unfortunately, I would say she's my least favorite. My favorites from this lineup, I would actually say, despite the fact that I really criticized the costume, I think my number 1 favorite from this lineup is the Iron Spider here, the Iron Spider-Man costume. Say what you wish. This guy's a hypocrite. Why would he pick this particular figure when he clearly said during the course of the review of it that he didn't like the costume? Yes, I know I did say that during the course of this video, or the videos, that I didn't like the costume, specifically in the movie, but I think from a Marvel Legends standpoint, I think it's actually really a nice costume. I would just, if I had the costume just solely as a figure, I would love the figure. It just so happens, I kind of wish that they would have just stuck with a classic Spider-Man costume for the movie. Maybe after the movie, I may change my mind. But in the meantime, I don't think I'd change my mind that Spider-Man is my favorite from this wave. My next favorite is, I really, really wanted to say Serpent Society, but ultimately I went with Iron Man. Granted, the plastic feels a little on the more cheap side, but he's a very clean, well put together Iron Man. He's got some really cool looking sculpts to his patterning of his costume that I really do like the Iron Man suit. And I again, want to go with Serpent Society after all my times of saying it. But ultimately, I actually didn't go with Serpent Society. I went with Proxima Midnight as my third favorite figure. She actually could have easily been maybe my second favorite figure from this line. But I really, really like the color scheme. I love the sculpt. I love the little spirals that have been added to her body. And I think the head sculpt is really good too. So those are my three favorite figures from this line. If you have picked up this line for yourself, let me know down below in the comments section what your three favorite figures are from this line. Again, it's pretty easy, I think, to come up with you know, your top three. You may have more of a struggle kind of saying, okay, well, I like this figure over this figure, but there's a lot more good figures in this wave than I think are negative figures. Even like the Captain America had a good body, like a good body sculpt, had a poor head. But the head could have used a little bit of work. I think paint could have fixed that figure's head sculpt. And Taskmaster, I really don't have anything negative to say about the figure. I'm kind of just lukewarm to the experience of Taskmaster. So those are my three favorite figures, once again. Iron Spider number 1, Iron Man being number 2, and Proxima Midnight being number 3. Let me know down below in the comments section down below. In the meantime, though, today's video, we are finally putting together and having a look at the Marvel Legends. This was the Infinity War, Avengers Infinity War, Thanos. Fantastic, fantastic. Well, in a nutshell, we have now wrapped up the Marvel Legends series, Build-A-Figure Thanos Wave. Let me know down below. Again, your top 3 favorite figures. If you haven't had a chance to hit that little subscribe button down below, make sure you also do that. And also, let me know if you want to see some more Marvel Legends reviews. I'm really asking a lot of you guys. Sorry about that. Like I said, more videos are going to be definitely coming your way. If you do want to see the Marvel Legends reviews continue on this channel, let me know. But like I said, many, many more videos coming soon. So stay tuned for those. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.